Hey guys, and welcome to a video, the first video I'm using on OBS. Very important that I just learned how to use this for the first time in my life. Now, you guys may have complained that I've never done a screen recording, and let me tell you right now that I'm trying it for the first time. Now, let's get into the topic of the video. The video is going to be about, do America First candidates fit the states of Arizona and Kansas? And does risking an election for a better nominee, is that worth it? That's the question. Now, I have a couple of candidates that we need to look at for a primary that is going to happen on August 4th. Now, when we look at the screen, we have Daniel McCarthy. Now, this guy is running in Arizona, a very important state to me, and honestly, it's a very key. Now, while we have about 40, we have a 45% chance of losing Arizona. You know, it's a purple state, people are saying, even though out of the last several elections, it's only gone blue once, and that was because of Ross Perot. But let's completely ignore that fact, and let's go to say that Arizona is a close state. And people say, very dumb YouTubers may say, well, you know, Martha McSally's terrible, Martha McAmnesty. And to those I say, she's not voting for amnesty under Trump, guys. And I don't feel like she's going to last a long time in the Senate to begin with. And the fact still stands that she is the one who won the Senate primary in 2018 and beat Kelly Ward and Joe Arpaio, the sheriff of Maricopa County, decisively by 54%. So clearly she has the American public's interest at heart. Why? Because people voted for them. So to say that she is a terrible candidate goes against the mandate of the voter, and that's very insulting and very anti-populist, to be fair. Also, let's go into the bones of this. We have Daniel McCarthy, who has no name recognition. Guys, I've driven around the Tucson area, the suburbs, the exurbs, Marana, Oro Valley, places where you would see a Republican nominee shine. You know, in places that are 60% red. And the fact is that I don't see Daniel McCarthy signs. I have seen 3. My entire life, I have seen 3. I have seen probably like 20 McSally signs in comparison. So clearly, the grassroots movement is much stronger for a woman like McSally over a guy like McCarthy. Now, Trump has not even acknowledged McCarthy to my knowledge. He's completely irrelevant in the minds of 95% of people, in politics even, and nobody knows who this is. And, you know, Amy McGrath, she was an important person in national politics to the extent that they were making articles about her, and she's still going to get killed in politics. Whereas him, they don't even write articles about this guy, and you expect me to respect his name, to expect him to have a chance in hell of winning? Of course not. And is he really America First? If you were to go through his website, he's not saying anything too outlandish. He wants to build the wall, but yet again, anybody who isn't a rhino in the Republican nomination competition should be pro-wall. So build the wall. McSally does want to build the wall. And when you look at McSally's record, surely she has wanted to give amnesty to soldiers, DACA soldiers, veterans, really, which, really, is that what we're going to pick bones about? Really, like, in a place like Arizona, do you think being that anti-immigration is going to help? And of course, being that lax on immigration doesn't help either, but I think we could go for a middle ground. And the fact is, Martha McSally voting for a partial amnesty of a fraction of the illegal immigrants that are veterans isn't a big deal. And her supporting the 2013 amnesty with Marco Rubio, which she didn't, by the way, exactly, that doesn't, I mean, that was a while ago. And the fact is that if we were going off a previous record from several years ago, then Joe Biden would be anti-busing and he'd be a mildly pro-segregation senator right now. But no, that doesn't matter. Okay? She's completely pro-life to what I understand. And honestly, with pro-life, senators that doesn't really matter too much in the Senate, other than confirming judges, which I suppose is important. And she's going to vote for whatever judge Trump puts up, really. But They're not going to vote on abortion rights. I don't believe that's going to happen. And the same thing with Tuberville. Tuberville will not be consequential in the immigration battle any more than Jeff Sessions would have been in the contrary. Okay? That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, if Trump won't even bother endorsing this guy, what the hell makes you think he's going to win? In particular, in a Senate election in a purple state. What does a far-right candidate have to provide in terms of a competitive competition against Mark Kelly, who is a well-funded, good candidate for the Democrats, who has the, like Joe Biden, has the moderate appeal, yet isn't even a moderate? Okay? That's very clear to me. Obviously, this guy is not up to the specifications that we need to win Arizona. Now, let me make my prediction right now, that if we were going to do the election in Arizona in the Senate against Mark Kelly and Martha McSally, and Trump, let's say, wins Arizona by 4. Let's say everything goes well, and Trump wins Arizona by more than what he did in 2016, and let me tell you why. Polls are saying that he is doing better off with Hispanics than he was before by 4 to 5%. And the Hispanic population of the United States has gone up maybe 1 or 2% since the 2016 election. Immigration has gone 49% down under Trump. So the demographic change isn't as big of a deal as it normally is. So any demographic change is more than offset by an increase of the Hispanic voting share towards the GOP by more than 4%, like projected under Trump. And these are BS polls that are oriented against Donald, so that means that they might even turn out better for him. So now that legal citizens know that they won't get deported by Donald Trump, they're more likely to vote for candidates such as those that support him, which is Martha McSally. Now they're going to look at a conservative senator who votes 94% with Trump, which is frankly more than almost any other senator, right? So very conservative, okay? So let's look over here. Would Kelly beat McSally? Honestly, that's a toss-up. Now, if Trump wins by like 5 in Arizona, and he does better with Hispanics, which means McSally down ballot does better with Hispanics, and the fact added that, let's say, Joe Biden bombs the debate, the economy starts recovering, etc., then I believe that McSally would win tilt, maybe. As of right now, McSally has a 45% odds of winning. Now, let's say that Daniel McCarthy was running. Now, Daniel McCarthy is further right-wing, does not have the endorsement of Donald Trump right now, and he does not have any money, really, compared to McSally, who has $30 million already, and that's against a guy, Mark Kelly, who has even more than McSally at $45 million right now, meaning that Kelly would probably win by a lean to likely margin. Now, if Trump wins by 5, I would still see Kelly winning tilt, honestly, because I don't think McCarthy would get a lot of money or support from the Republican Senate donors, and that's honestly too bad, because I think that I would agree more with Daniel McCarthy on issues than Martha McSally perhaps, but still, optics do matter, and I'd rather Martha McSally than Mark Kelly, and the fact is that her odds are probably 25% better than it would be for Daniel McCarthy. So, and we have to keep the Senate, so let's keep this red. Okay, so let's look onto Chris Kobach. Now, Chris Kobach is pretty important. He was one of the toughest people on immigration even during the Bush years. In fact, he is 50 years old, but he does have decades of experience, and he was a Secretary of State of Kansas, and I think that he brought in voter ID and stuff like that. And voter ID isn't even relevant in Kansas to begin with, but he still did it because he's so tough on immigration. Now, he's not for a moratorium, not that it would really matter in the Senate. Nobody's going to vote for a moratorium. Not to burst your bubble, America First people, or Wignats, or anybody to the right of Trump, but lessening immigration by the Congress is virtually impossible. Even the immigration amnesty didn't even pass, okay? And that was a liberal type of thing. Whereas conservative immigration reform, I doubt would happen. Your best bet is to have Donald Trump do a merit-based immigration reform by executive order, which I agree with, that is better than what we have now. But I don't think having a senator like Chris Kobach would change that much. Okay? And also, by the way, I do agree with Chris more than the other guys, Roger Marshall and the other old guy. But honestly, this is not a deal breaker to me. Now, let's look at this. Reduce government, whatever, and illegal immigration. Every Republican's for that. Defend the Second Amendment, of course. Protect life, of course. So, on the issues, he's not very different. Just that he's more tough on immigration and he has a better record for it. But at the same time, he does have a record of losing an election in Kansas for governor to Laura Kelly. And he's going against a relatively well-funded, moderate Democrat in Kansas, and I think he would win. But the fact is that if we were to look at his Wikipedia, all he has really is Secretary of State of Kansas. Notice that in 2018, Donald Trump was floating the idea of having him as Attorney General or something to that capacity, or maybe DHS. But the fact is that he put Jeff Sessions, that loser, over Chris Kobach, and he got his back blown out by Tuberville by over 20% in that primary. Now, will this happen to Kobach? No, because he didn't backstab the president. He didn't badmouth the president after he didn't get the job he wanted like a little punk, just like Jeff Sessions did to him, relatively speaking. Now, we see all his record supporting the Arizona immigration reform, which I support as well. Of course, this is a great guy, and I like Chris Kobach, but the fact still stands. I mean, we look at this election, and I don't want to risk it, but at the same time, I still think that Kobach would win. And I really hope, and you look at the polls, and you look at the most recent ones for the Senate primary, which is going to happen soon, and you would look over here, and you hardly find any polls. But the ones that you do find typically show that Kobach is neck and neck with Roger Marshall. Now, Trump is getting begged by Roger Marshall to join and help him. And if Trump does decide to endorse Roger Marshall last minute, I do think that Roger Marshall would win. But the fact still stands that Trump likes Chris Kobach fundamentally as a guy, so he's not going to screw him over and blackball him like that. So Trump is not going to endorse anybody until someone is the nominee. That's just a fact. So let's look over here. Articles are blasting Kobach. This is not good optics. Kobach does not have the most money in the world. He does not have the donors with him. Roger Marshall does. He does have the money. If Roger Marshall wins, he definitely 100% will win Kansas, which will be important in keeping our majority in the Senate. And that I really do care about that, guys, because the fact still stands that whilst we do have a Senate that is controlled by Republicans, and while the odds are like 85% that we won't lose it, risking it I don't think is a good idea. And look, we are at a 53 majority, guys. There's a lot of toss-ups in this election, and I don't want to roll a dice with a guy who is not going to be that effectual in the grand scheme of things. So when we look at the Senate election, everything's important. We are probably going to lose New Hampshire. We are probably going to win Maine. We're probably going to lose Michigan, maybe, I don't know. And we're probably going to win Iowa. And we're probably going to, this is super close to North Carolina, but I think Tom Tillis will pull it through. I also believe that the Democrats will win this almost safe, or likely. And then Hickenlooper's probably going to beat Gardner, right? But, the Montana one is contested for whatever reason. Arizona is contested. You flip this, you have the America First candidate, so-called, in Daniel McCarthy in Arizona. He loses to Mark Kelly. That's a big loss. You have Roger Marshall win. We still keep the majority. Even if we lose Montana and if we lose North Carolina, we still keep the Senate more or less. But if we lose Kansas, we're pretty much screwed, and we would have to win Michigan or Montana or something. And even then, we'd be at a thinner majority. So would I really risk it? Yes, actually, I support Martha McSally, and I do support Chris Kobach at the same time. Arizona's way closer than Kansas ever will be. And the fact is that Kansas, you could have Roy Moore run in Kansas and probably still win with Trump on the ticket. Okay, this is a federal election, okay? A Senate seat, or maybe even a congressional seat would be easy, besides maybe one district in Topeka or something. But the fact is still that a federal election is not so risky in these states, such as Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota. But when we're talking about Arizona, we're talking about Nevada, extremely important swing states, Pennsylvania, key state, even Wisconsin and Michigan. We can't play around with far-right people that are not going to win the independents necessary to win in places like Colorado, in Arizona, and in Kansas. Okay, so wrapping it up, I do think America First candidates in deep red areas are appropriate, but I do not think, personally, that running them in purple districts will do anything, and if anything, we're just going to lose more seats than we would otherwise. And not only that, but any Republican is better than any Democrat, almost, okay? At the federal level, name one Democratic senator that's better than any other Republican. Okay, even Mitt Romney votes like 80% with Trump, and even though he's a fag and a rhino, I would say that he's still better off than even Joe Manchin, who votes maybe like 50 or 60% with Trump. And let's also look at the fact that we have Martha McSally, who did lose the 2018 election to Kyrsten Sinema. But remember this. That was a blue wave. If it weren't a blue wave, Martha would have won, number one. Number two, there were several thousands of illegal votes, and I think it was rigged in a large extent, number two. And then number three, I think McSally did not hit Sinema as hard as she's hitting Mark Kelly now, which is good. And then we also have the other point that the Senate primary in 2018 for the Republicans in Arizona was a lot more contested than the DeMan Daniel and Martha McSally primary of today. Because honestly, Daniel's a nobody. He has less Twitter followers than Red Eagle Politics, my friend. So I mean, let's not much you can do there, buddy. So best of luck to the America First candidates. I am pretty right conservative. I'm not a moderate by any extent, but it looks bad, in Arizona. So let's hope Chris Kobach wins. I don't hope. I know McSally's going to win her primary by over 50% easily. And that's all I had for you guys. Please like and subscribe. But not only that, but comment down below. What do you think about this OBS style of I don't know. Make sure you sub though. And comment down below what you guys think I should do next in terms of if I should keep recording these or if I should go back to the old format. And also, FYI, I fixed my mic finally. Okay, now bye.